May 25th, 2023. A day that a lot of bad decisions were made and my son died. I'm going to go through the day as I remember it. Some things I don't remember, but this is what I woke up that morning. I hadn't slept very much because Caleb didn't come home the night before. When he doesn't come home, I don't sleep. So I was already cranky starting off the day. I got to work. It was a busy doctor's day. Caleb called me around 1 o'clock. I missed his call. I called him back a few minutes later. I always try to answer his calls or call him back right away because he had such severe anxiety that if I didn't answer right away, automatically something bad had happened. So I called him back probably about less than 15 minutes later. He had already been drinking. I could tell by talking to him. He was on his way with the owner of the vehicle to pick up his friend because his friend and his girlfriend had gotten into another fight and Caleb had to go pick him up and take him elsewhere. Anyway, I don't know. I remember being upset with him because he was drinking and he didn't come home the night before. And I remember telling him, we will talk about this when I get home. And that was pretty much the end of the conversation. It was the first time that he's ever ended a conversation or left me without saying, I love you, bye. He called me back at about 3:35, I think it was. And I missed the call because I was busy. I was at work. So I called him back 3 minutes later and he didn't answer the phone. So I figured, okay, he's home. He's just let me know he's home. He's gone to bed. I'll see him when I get home. I got a call from the friend's girlfriend at 4:56 and I didn't answer the phone because I figured she was just calling to holler at me about Caleb picking the friend up, because that's what would happen. They would get in a fight and Caleb would go get him or whatever, or she'd call me freaking out or be messaging me freaking out about what a terrible person my son is. So I didn't answer because I was like, I don't have time for that right now. I was busy. It was doctor's day. I was just trying to get the day done. I got home a little after 5, realized he wasn't home, so I called him to find out when he was coming home and he didn't answer. I remember sitting on the couch after supper, scrolling Facebook, just trying to keep myself occupied instead of worrying about where he was, and I saw it posted online about the accident between Port Hawkesbury and Sydney. And I knew he was going to Port Hawkesbury because that's where he was taking his friend. So I started to panic. And not even 5 minutes after I saw that, I got a Facebook message from my ex-husband wanting to know if Caleb was okay because he had gotten a call that there was an accident and nobody could find him. So I got a call from my ex-husband and I was like, what do you mean there's an accident? And he said there is apparently a really bad accident and the owner of the vehicle and his friend were at the hospital, but nobody could find Caleb. So I started thinking, okay, what is he hurt? Is he roaming around in the woods? Like, what the fuck? Why does nobody know where he's at? So I started calling him, of course, and nobody picked up. And then I got in my car with my husband and I called, as we were driving to the hospital, I called the hospital. And they had me on hold for 13 minutes, I believe, because when they answered, they said that they had 2 people there from the accident, but my son was not one of them. And I kept saying, okay, well, where is he then? And they kept saying, well, come, like, we'll help you. Where are you? And I said, well, I'm on my way to the hospital. And they were like, okay, well, come to us and we will help you find him, but he is not here. He's not registered. And I was like, okay, that's not good. That can't be good. Is he out wandering around the woods? Is he hurt? Did he run away? Like, is he scared? Where is he? I remember being at the door from the waiting room going inside the hospital at the ER, and as soon as the door opened there was 3 nurses and the RCMP officer, and that's when my world fell apart because I knew And I remember I kept saying, "Where's my son?" And when we got into the room, I was told that there was an accident and Caleb didn't make it. And I remember questioning, was it really his friend upstairs? Wasn't it Caleb? Because there should have only been 2 people in the car because they dropped his friend off, right? But apparently they didn't. I remember the officer, the way he kept saying, like, I should be grateful that nobody else was hurt, which I was, and it could have been so much worse, and the owner of the vehicle was 60-40, and your son was driving, and I was like, it was like a lot of guilt for me, and I'm like, I'm trying to still process the fact that my 19-year-old son just died, and he's telling me all of these things that he's to blame for, and I'm like, hold on now, he doesn't even have a license. He has his beginners, but he doesn't have a driver's license, and he doesn't like to drive in the rain, so why was he driving? That doesn't make sense to me. And he kept saying no, and we're looking into this, we're looking into that, and I don't remember exactly what he was saying. I remember at one point I'm like, you can't, like, it just can't be. And I remember asking them where he was, and they told me that he was still at the accident site, and my response to that was, you left him outside in the rain and in the cold, alone? And that stuck with me because I couldn't understand. I just didn't understand how they could leave him outside in the rain. But so a few minutes after that, well, I don't even know if it was a few minutes, I don't know, I called my dad and told him my mom had passed away 7 months earlier, so he's it for my parents. And I couldn't even tell him the whole story. I had to get my husband to. And they told me that I could come back and see Caleb once they brought him to the morgue. So I was like, okay, I have to now go tell my daughters that, like, I have to break my daughters' hearts. Okay. So my youngest daughter was away still at the time, so I called her and told her, and I can remember her screaming. And then I went to my oldest daughter's apartment, and I told her, and I held her while she crumbled to the ground. And then I get home, and a few hours after that, and I don't remember all the conversation between me and the RCMP officer and the nurses at the hospital. My husband says a lot was said, and I don't remember. And he doesn't want to be a part of all of this, so I don't remember what I was saying, or what I was told, other than I remember the fact that he kept saying, well, you should be thankful, and you should be thankful that this didn't happen, you should be thankful. And I'm like, I'm sorry it happened. I don't condone how it happened or what happened, but fuck's sake, buddy, give me a minute to register the fact that my boy is gone. So a few hours later, I got a call from a lady with the coroner's office. They were sending Caleb for an autopsy the next morning, and I was not allowed to see him, unlike what I was told earlier. There was no way I could see him. He was leaving first thing in the morning, and I was like, okay, great, wonderful. So I stayed up all night waiting for Caleb to come home because I couldn't help it. For some reason, there was a part of me that just thought he would come home. I kept thinking it was a mistake. There's no way. I hadn't seen him, so there was no way. The accident was on Thursday. The accident happened at about 4:40 in the afternoon. The friend's girlfriend tried to call me at 4:56 because right after the accident he called her. He didn't call 911. He called her. I didn't find out my son had passed until 7:59 that night. Nobody came to my door to tell me. Nobody notified us. I only found out because I went looking for him. To this day, I believe if I didn't go looking for him, I still wouldn't have known for hours. I probably would have read about it on Facebook, because by the time we got home from my daughter's apartment, it was coming up on Facebook, all of the RIP and all this other stuff. I hadn't even had a chance to tell my brother and my sister who lived out west yet, and it was already all over Facebook. So Facebook fucking sucks. But yeah, so I wasn't allowed to see him before he left. So we will fast forward to the next day. I went to, was it the next day or was it the day after? The next day, maybe? I don't even know. We went to speak with the RCMP officer, and we were given the wrong cause of death, which, not cool. And I didn't get to see him, and it was only for the graciousness of the funeral home, who worked with another funeral home in Halifax to get him back home for me. I didn't get to actually see him until 6 o'clock Saturday night. That's when the reality hit me that he was actually gone. So that is that day. We were given a lot of false information about his cause of death, about how the accident happened. We still don't know. We're still trying to figure it all out, piece it all together 2+ years later. But that's what I remember about that day, and just being completely numb. It was like my whole entire insides were just, they just disappeared. So yeah, worst day of my life.